Today we're going to answer the question, how quick is the new Hyundai i20N? I'll quickly run you through the specs and then we'll record a 0 to 60 miles an hour, 0 to 100 Ks, quarter mile and 100 to 0 braking test. I'll show you how to activate the launch control and we'll find out if it's actually the fastest way. So let's get into it. Here in the front, 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 150 kilowatts and 275 Newton meters. However, an overboost function can lift that to 304 Newton meters. Limited slip diff, 6-speed manual, and Hyundai claims 6.2 seconds from 0 to 100. So that's a pretty challenging time we've got to try and meet. Okay, i20N, the hottest new little hot hatch on the market. So we've got launch control, which is activated through the central screen. N mode, launch control, I can choose the launch RPM, but this being front wheel drive, I'm just going to go the lowest I can, which is 3000 RPM. So I've got to have ESC either in sport or off. I've turned it off just in case it cuts in. So 3000 RPM, I press activate. Wait for it, there we go. Now all I need to do is just floor the throttle, release the clutch and off we go. Whoa. I don't think that's going to be a very good time. But that's okay, it'll get us a benchmark. Other than that, pretty easy to drive. Gearbox feels all right, pretty quick shift. What do we go? So 7.4 to 100. That's not very good. I think we can do a lot better than that. But I also think that maybe I'll leave launch control on the shelf and just do it myself. Okay. The launch control was 6.8 seconds to 60, 7.4 seconds to 100. Big gap there, so I might have to change gear in between. And 15.4 seconds for the quarter at 149.5. Having done a little bit of research on this car, one trick I know I've got to do is that second gear just goes past 103 Ks an hour. And that's probably a little bit optimistic. So I'm gonna have to really rev it right out in second gear to try and get to 100. But I'm going to do it manually. I've got it in N mode, so maximum attack engine. I've even got the rev match on, to smooth out the gear shifts a bit. But I'm going to do it manually in terms of the launch. Just try and get this thing off the line cleanly. So let's see how we go. And remember, I've got to really rev out in second gear to get to 100, or as close as I can. Let's try about 3000 RPM. Oh, good traction, too good traction. Oh, hit the rev limiter. Oh, hit the rev limiter. Because it beeps at me just past 6,000 RPM, but I need to hold the revs longer than that to try and get to 100. Right, so that run, 6.4 seconds to 60, but 7.2 seconds to 100. Another big gap. Didn't help that I ran into the rev limiter, but it's going to be all in getting that 2 to 3 change clean, I think, because I've got to, like I said, I've got to rev it right out and not hit the rev limiter. It beeps at me just over 6,000 RPM, so I've got to ignore that, rev it right out, don't hit the rev limiter this time. Traction was also better than I expected. It's really got some grip off the line, this thing, so might try and use a few more revs. See how we go. Okay, one last run. Let's see if we can get 6.5 seconds. So, plenty of revs, up over 4,000. Quick shift to second. Quick shift to third. Was that a bit early? I don't know. Didn't want to hit the limiter. Into fourth. Man, you can change gear fast in this car. Woo, how do we go? How do we go? How do we go? Hey, 6 seconds to 60, 6.5 seconds to 100, and 14.7 second quarter mile at 152.4. Wowee, that was a good run. I shouldn't be celebrating because I'm still 3/10 off the claim, but that claim, I mean, I don't know. I suppose they wouldn't claim it if it couldn't do it, but that was like over 4,000 RPM, just a slight bit of wheel slip, change gears, felt spot on. I couldn't imagine doing it much quicker. The shift points were about right. We got 6.5 seconds to 60, so 3/10. Don't know, but I'm pretty happy with that, especially where we started. Alrighty, to wrap things up, like usual, let's do the 80 to 120 overtaking acceleration and 100 to 0 braking test. So in the i20N, that means we select third gear, get it to 60 k's an hour, find our spot for consistency, then we floor the throttle and let the engine do the rest. 80, 90, 100. There we go, 120, now we're up to about 130, so I'll just let the speed bleed off a little bit, and then we brake hard. Oh, good brakes on this thing. Whew. So 3.9 seconds, 80 to 120, and 34.3 meters, 100 to 0. That is a good result, but also not surprising. This thing's got very good stoppers on it. So to wrap up, disappointing not to match the claim, always is. However, pretty happy with the run in this. Still pretty fast car for a baby hot hatch. 6.2 seconds, didn't match that, but yeah, 6 seconds to 60, 6.5 to 100, and a 14.7 second quarter mile at 152 odd k's an hour. So there we go. Not a bad day's work.